A challenge for the disappearing Jew. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about a Jewish single who's dating people from other faiths or not married and living in what I consider to be sin. I'm talking to you. You're disappearing. You're not going to be around in 20 years. What do you mean not going to be around? I'm going to be alive. You're not going to be Jewish. And if you are Jewish, your Jewish identity is almost non-existent. You're not getting married. And if you get married, you may have one child. And that child has got a 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 chance of remaining Jewish. That doesn't sound too good for the long-term prognosis for your existence. So what's the answer? The answer is found in this week's Torah portion. Believe it or not, the Torah is relevant to today's major problems. The major problem that we have in the non-Orthodox Jewish community is there aren't too many of you that are getting married. If you're getting married, you're intermarrying. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. The kids are not going to be Jewish. I don't care if you send them to Hebrew school, you send them to day school. They're not going to be Jewish. If you're a man and your wife isn't Jewish, kids aren't Jewish. And if you're a girl and you're Jewish and your kids are going to be Jewish, but they're not going to be raised in a Jewish atmosphere. They're not going to have a Jewish identity. Oh, we still exist, yeah. The fastest growing community in the Jewish community today is the Orthodox community. And it's only a question of time when the Jewish community, the Orthodox community, will outnumber the Reform and the Conservative and the non-affiliated. At one point, we were less than 10% of the community. The children today are about 25, 30%, and it's getting more. In 20 years, there will be the majority of kids in schools, the majority of kids that are identifiably Jewish are going to be Orthodox. And don't tell me the Orthodox are going to become conservative. The conservative synagogues are all shutting down. They're basically bankrupt, out of business. I don't want them to be bankrupt. I'm not happy about it. I once met a rabbi in 1964. A few years ago. It's 60 years ago. He was a conservative rabbi in Philadelphia. And he told us, he asked the Rebbe, would you close my place down? And the Rebbe smiled and he says, it depends where they go afterwards. After they go out of your place to go to a yeshiva, go to an Orthodox place, yeah, I would close it down, but it's not happening. That wasn't happening in 1960s. 1960s have gone the other way. So the conservatives were important because they kept a significant portion of the Jewish community alive. They identified strongly, they supported Israel, they supported religious institutions. All the yeshivas, all of the day schools were supported by conservative money for the most part. The Reform community, that was the bastion of the entire federations. All the major Jewish organizations dominated by Reform Jews. What's happening today? Today is a totally different world. because the conservative community is dying. There are no Hebrew schools. If there are no Hebrew schools, there are not going to be any kids for the next generation. The Hebrew schools that do exist are a fraction of what used to be. There are no Jewish preschools in the synagogues. They're tiny, the tiny amount of kids coming in. In the Orthodox community, it's burgeoning. Maybe not everywhere, but in most places it's burgeoning. My son lives in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Fair Lawn, Anshe Lubavitch has a preschool of about 350 kids. That may be understating what they have. That's unbelievable. None of the conservative synagogues in the city of Detroit have significant preschools. Only preschools that exist are from the day schools. One day school services the conservative and reform community, that's Hillel Day School. And the number of kids that are there are a fraction of what used to be. So basically, they're disappearing. Why they're disappearing? Because you kids out there, you're not getting married. And you're not getting married to Jewish kids. You say, so what? I don't want you to disappear. You are part of a chain, a golden chain that started with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We want you to stay around. We need you. We need your opinions. We need your service. We need you to help protect the Jewish community. And unless you get married and marry a Jewish girl, it ain't going to happen. There's not going to be Jews next generation. So what does the Torah teaches us in this week's Parsha? There was a Jewish boy. He was handsome. He was smart, enterprising, successful businessman. But he wasn't married. He was 40 years old and unmarried. So what does his father do? His father finds him a girl and writes a will. And in the will it states, I'm giving all of my money as of this moment to my son Isaac, on one condition. He married a girl that I wanted to marry. If he don't marry the girl I don't want him to marry, he ain't getting anything. So here was a rich Jew, his name was Avram Avinu. And he had a son who was a wonderful son, very devoted son. The son was willing to put his life on the line to get his neck cut at the Akedah on Mount Moriah. He was willing to sacrifice his life too, because he was 37, his father was 137. My bets are on Isaac if he takes Abraham on. He let himself be tied up. He let himself be spread out over the altar, and he stretched his neck. He says, Dad, go ahead. He's a very devoted child, brilliant, handsome, successful, but unmarried. Why should he get married? It's only going to hold him down. His father had other ideas. He needs to get married. He needs to have a family. He needs to have Jewish kids. But they should be Jewish kids that should stay Jewish kids. I want those kids to be born from a Jewish girl, or a girl from our family. And so Abraham makes the stakes for Isaac. You want my money? You want my wealth? You want my name? You marry who I want. So there's an answer to the problem. The answer to the problem to the disappearing Jew is found in the Torah. Kid was 40. Lots of girls wanted to marry him. He wasn't interested. Why should he? I mean, today, why should he be interested for other reasons? In those days, he wasn't interested because they would tie him down. He wasn't interested in being tied down. He wanted to develop his ideas, to develop his ideas of how to make things happen. Being tied down with a wife, you couldn't do those things. You couldn't make projects, big projects, construction projects, development projects. And Abraham says, no, you got to make time to get married. And he makes it worth his while. Abraham was a rich guy. You dads and moms out there, you guys are rich guys, rich people. Tell your kid, I'll give you everything. Just get married. But you got to marry a Jewish girl. And if you do, you know what's going to happen? You'll have Jewish kids. And you have Jewish kids, those Jewish kids will give you a lot of pleasure. They will ask you a lot of questions. They will challenge you and make you a better person and a better Jew. How do I know? That's what happened to me. My kids made me better. So you kids out there, you guys out there, you girls out there, you're single. Get yourself a Jewish partner. And don't shack up. Get married. Have a family. Have lots of Jewish kids. And by the way, go speak to a rabbi. You may be surprised what kind of wisdom they have in directing your life. Now, you got a brain, you know what to do, but there's some people who may have other ideas. Their ideas may be as good or superior to yours. Speak to your local rabbi. See what they say. But don't disappear on me, please. I want you to stick around.